Welcome to all inspiring chefs, cooks, and everything in between alike. This is Griever, your guys' host as always. This is my bar, the place I'm always at, and this right here, ladies and gentlemen, may I present Chapter 282 of Shokugeki no Soma. Let's get cooking, guys, because this chapter was going to be an info dump. Joshiro's back, they don't hide it, they don't jump away from it. First page, yo, I'm back. Someone's like, Dad? And it's like, all right, we're going to get info dump. We're going to have questions. First couple pages, someone's like, what are you talking about? He headbutts his dad. He's saying, hey, the Saiba guy showed up. What's about? Saiba, I got like 1,000,001 things to ask you. Can we talk about this? And just like, whoa, son. Before we talk about that, I got something for you. It's a blue invitation. We all knew it was coming, but Joshiro to be the one to deliver it? Okay. All right. Once again, something twisty going on here. Like, for example, let's jump way further back. What did Azami mean about hand-picking the jewel generation? What about that? The 92nd generation, or whatever the hell it's called. What about that? We still haven't gotten clear on what Azami meant by that, and why Sensanaman didn't, abruptly go, that doesn't matter, or that's how things were always done. No, he looked. It was kind of like, he's guilty. He did something there. And we do know that he pushed Joshiro to admit Soma into Totsuki Academy. We all know that. That wasn't... But the fact that he handpicked the entire thing... Okay, so just going back on that, because when I started reading this chapter, and we thought we were getting a crazy info dump from Joshiro, and we thought we were going to get, we're going to get some backstory, Soma's mother, the big thing with Saiba... Sorry to disappoint you guys, but unfortunately, when I first read this chapter, I said to myself, bastards. It was like, come off it. This was the chapter to do it. This was the chapter to build up the hype. This was the chapter to give us some info dumping. This was the chapter to give us all the new juicy backstories and the information. And it was just a red herring, guys. This was such a red herring of a chapter, it's almost a piss off. But then I started reading it and rereading it and rereading it again. Then I did the review right now, and the chapter's not that bad. It's just, I think we expected too much of Joshiro coming back to give us all the answers. This isn't One Piece, guys. We're not going to have massive bombshell golden egg shitting out of Daffy Duck's ass all over the map every chapter. It's just not going to happen. This isn't what this series is like. I think it was still a bit of a red herring to bring Joshiro back, to have him and Soma sit down and talk about the situation and basically give us no new information. That shouldn't have happened. That is the one problem with this chapter. That is one major flaw with this chapter. Still like the chapter. Still like the tone of the chapter, where the chapter went. It was a big issue that I don't think I've heard anybody talk about. Anybody. Because let's just go through. As I've already said, so he gets a blue invitation. He's like, I got 1,000,001 things to ask you. So they start talking, and they talk about, and we basically skip all the stuff. Like it that we don't spend a whole page rehashing old information. Just like they're sitting on the beach, everyone's eavesdropping and stuff, and it's like, so, Suzuki is Saiba, and he's the disciple you took on, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. No questions about, hey, you fought him and you lost? What's with that or something? I'm glad they didn't bring that up, because clearly to me, Joshiro didn't tell him. Because if Joshiro had told him, I already went up against him and lost, there's a reason he didn't tell him. Because he threw the match. Every chapter, I'm going to continue to say that. He threw the match. Because if he told Soma that he lost outright, that would be a major thing. That would be drawn. That would be seen. But it wasn't. It was just, that was skipped over. That whole battle he had, that was skipped over. So there's, once again, through the match, it's not relevant. There's something to do with the fact that he loves his son, but he still respects and loves his disciple like a son, and he's doing one of those whole, I gotta stand back, I can't get involved. This isn't my era anymore. This is for them to figure out, for themselves. I'm just laying the groundwork sort of idea. Now, we do get into the whole, and here's the issue that was not brought up before. Once again, no new information, but a but a new issue brought up was, Soma, do you still want to take over the diner? Do you still want to take over Yukihira Diner? And Soma pauses. And the moment that line was brought up, I thought about it, guys. Think about it. Think about it honestly. So you run a family business. Doesn't matter what it is. And all of a sudden you get the opportunity to go further with that business than anybody else. Like if you're, take a trade, take anything. An accountant, an electrician like myself, take a carpenter, take a cook like are in these shows. Take anything. Take it. Managing a small business, being a lawyer, being a small-time lawyer, being a doctor, anything. And you have the potential to all of a sudden, like for a lawyer, go to Harvard. For an electrician, I don't know what it is. I got my red seal, I'm good. But I'm sure there's something prestigious out there. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're doing small-time stuff your whole life, and that's what you know, and that's fantastic, that's great. But you go into the big leagues. You know, you're not playing amateur baseball anymore. You're in the MLB. You're not throwing the pigskin around with your brother in the backyard anymore in the shitty little lawn. You're on the Dallas Cowboys field as quarterback for the biggest NFL franchise in the world. It's the same with the cooking. It's the exact same with the cooking world. He was an amazing chef, of course. Joshiro was an amazing chef. But because of what happened to him, he could not do that anymore. This was his runaway. This was the runaway from his challenges. And this little diner, when he started cooking again and stuff, was his way of staying with cooking, but not turning into Asura again. Not going through that wasteland again. Not going down that dark path anymore. This was something for him to do, to enjoy cooking with his family, with his son. So it was more of therapeutic. It was more of a therapy for Joshiro than it ever was meant to be a business, so to speak, or a family-run thing. So when he posed that question, you got it already. Soma has, and Joshiro goes through all this. I'm just saying in my own words, guys. This is basically what the chapter's about. He tells Soma, look, you took the first seat. Even I didn't do that. Now, of course, you let him have, like, that whole nother debate there, but Joshiro's just patting his son on the back, but we all know, like, that wasn't the thing. But Soma, he took the first seat. He's cooked marvelous meals. He's won crazy competition. His skills have vastly improved since he's met all these other great cooks and competed against them, lost to some, won against many. Uphill battles all the way, and he's made everything work. He got more experience in the last year than he ever would have gotten staying at that diner. Of course. But at the same time, it's like, look, if this continues, I have no doubt anymore that you're gonna kick Totsuki's ass. There's no question. But after you do that, let's say you win at the Blue. You can right now, you can cook for the highest end. You're the first seat of the greatest cooking school in the world. You can cook high class all your life. You can travel to any country you want and cook for the most gourmet restaurants in the world. You can work in their kitchens. You can serve the best cuisine in the world. And if you win Blue, your steaks will only improve. You'll be the most sought after, famous chef in the world. You'll be the prize of the cooking world, and you'll be able to cook on these grand stages. You don't need to come back to a shitty little hole in the wall. And honestly, that is some real parenting. That's some real dad talk. I like it. I had this conversation with my own father about things in the past, similar. Of course, I'm not an insanely talented cook, so I'm not a little different. But nonetheless, I got it. I was like, this is a real conversation. This is what a parent, even one like Joshiro, would say to his son. Like, look, I pushed you to be the best. I didn't even, it was Sazanaman, the old man Sazanaman, he was the one who pushed me to bring you out there. And I said, look, let me teach him for a few years, and then you can have him. And then you exceeded my expectations. Everything I taught you, you absorbed it, and of course you kicked ass because, I mean, I taught you, and I'm sort of like patting himself on the back, like, well, if I taught you, of course you're going to win. But the rest of the chapter just goes on to say that, you don't need to run this. You don't need to run that diner anymore. If you still don't want to run it, you can do whatever you want now. You don't need to come back here. And Soma's response is awesome. Once again, it makes up for the red herring that this chapter was with this, you dumbass father. Like, what are you talking about? Yukihara might be this shithole, hole-in-the-wall therapeutic place for you that you had to run away to because you couldn't take it sort of idea. That's what I took from that line. Now, once again, I can't show panels, but he said, it's not a place for me to run away from my challenges and hide. Which, in a sense, I mean, we have some year-long gaps here, but that's essentially what happened to Joshiro. It's kind of a stab at the old man there. But he says, that is what I aspire to be. I want to take up the mantle. You don't want me to be? Well, let me set this straight. I haven't beaten, I lost to that Saiba weirdo. And I also can't beat Arena yet. But I tell you what, I'm going to go win the blue competition. And when I do, if I don't win, I don't get to have the diner. That is my goal. My goal is the diner. Like, it's always been to beat you in a cooking match and take up the mantle of running that diner. And I think that diner is the greatest place in the world. And if I'm not the best chef in the world, I can't make that place the best place in the world, and I don't deserve to run it. So Soma is just like, I am going to literally become the greatest chef in the world to run that little diner. And that little diner is then going to become the greatest place in the world because I'm running it. Like, Soma, like that is good talk. That is such a happy thing to hear. And of course, Joshiro finally, he gets a smile on his face, starts acting like his old self, and even Soma recognizes it. Goes, I thought you were going to get wrinkles there or something, Dad. You started to act like your age, like you're getting old or something. Like, you're acting more like you. And he's, patting his son on the back and, I come here, you sort of idea. I'm good with it. I really enjoyed this question posed. Like, he doesn't need to go run a shitty little diner anymore. He never did, but now he's first seat of the greatest cooking school. He's got notoriety. He doesn't have to do anything, but he's choosing to him. And Joshiro says, like, you did things that even I couldn't do. You've already surpassed your old man. It's like, nah, Joshiro. A lot of people might read into that line, but no way can Soma beat his old man in a cooking competition. Not now. Maybe not even ever. I mean, the end of the series, we might get one of those 10 years later gaps for an end chapter sort of idea. They all happen to every freaking manga at this point. But nonetheless, really, like, borderline end of series, you can't beat Joshiro. So he was just putting on airs, shall we say. The end of the chapter, of course, Joshiro looks up at the sky. He goes, son's acting just like you did, we made one hell of a kid sort of idea. It's like, oh, that's nice. And we jump over to see that, this will be the time of Soma's summer vacation, but after that, it'll be the battle for the century. And we get this big widespread thing with Arena, with Ashia, with Soma, and all the noir chefs, and all the, just like, balls to the wall. And it looks like the introduction to a Street Fighter game. It really does. Because once again, this is literally taking every single anime villain from the past 30 years, throwing them in there and saying they're a new character that's a noir chef. I still hold to that. We have Escanor, we have X-Death, we have the Hojo-looking dude, we've got, like, the clown guy might as well be Gluttony. I mean, anyways, That's a gripe for another time. That's a gripe for another time because I swear they're going to get some type of copyright claim from somebody eventually. But that being said, guys, what did you think of the chapter? Because once again, even though this was a red herring, a lot of people are pissed. I was pissed initially too, guys. I was like, we got no new information here. This was supposed to be the info dump chapter, and we got zilch. We got nothing. We got shit on. But this was a real world conversation. This was a real talk between a father and his son, and it was an honest thing. It was like, look, you've accomplished greatness. Like, you don't need to come back to our small town law firm in, bumfuck nowhere in the middle of Pennsylvania when you can go to New York City and work at some of the most prestigious law firms in the world. You don't need to come back here when you've already made it, It's that kind of mentality. You can go work at the Mayo Clinic. You don't have to come back to our shitty little one. If you don't want to, if you don't want to run that, that's fine. You're beyond that. You have the choice. It's a real world thing. It's a real world question. And I like it. It's a real parenting question. It's reality. Like that it was introduced. Just wish we had the infodump chapter, then this chapter. Then I would feel a little less salty about it. But nonetheless, still really enjoyed the chapter, guys. What did you all think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please like, subscribe, comment, as always. Always very much appreciated. As always, drink responsibly, and we'll see you back here next time. Keep cooking, guys.